Make a beginner lotion. It has a total of 3 phases. The first one is your water phase. That's just distilled water. Very important to use distilled water, so we're going to go ahead and put that in the pan. The second one is your oil phase. The third one is your cool down phase, and you have your preservative and your fragrance. So I'm going to put them off to the side. So in your oil phase, we're going to put some sweet almond oil, some rice bran oil, and these are easily swapped out for a variety of different carrier oils depending on what you want. Emulsifying wax NF, this is very important. This is what makes the water and the oil combine into one emulsified product, otherwise they will separate. The next thing that we're going to add in is the stearic acid. This is a co-emulsifier, and it also helps thicken the product up to the consistency that you want for lotion. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and pop this on the stove, and then I'll be back. So I'm back. Went ahead and heated everything up. It takes about 20 minutes roughly to heat up your oils. Very important to heat up your water at the same time, otherwise when you pour your oils in, you're going to wind up with the big clump of bad. So that's the distilled water. Now here's our melted oils. I'm putting it in this container with the spout. It's a little bit easier when I'm blending it. It's also easier to pour it into the final container. So I'm just going to pour my oils in there. And we're going to go ahead and blend this up. It's going to get a little bit loud. With the cool down phase, you want to make sure that your stuff is below the temperature that it needs to be. For the preservative that I'm using, it's 140, so I always aim, to be around 120 or less. It's going to vary depending on what preservative you're using. So we're below that point. So what I'm going to do is go ahead, just add the preservative in. Then at the same time, we'll add the fragrance. This one is Imitation Secret Wonderland, and I absolutely love it. So we'll go ahead and add that in. And then I like to give it a good mixing again. So it's completely fine to pour it at this point if you're not going to add color. So I'll go ahead and I'll fill up one without any color. Don't worry, this will thicken up. So there we go. There's one without color. Important to leave the tops off, otherwise it's not going to cool all the way. The bottle might sink in because it's closed. So I normally leave the top off for a few hours or overnight. If you decide that you want to add some color, you don't want to add it when it's too thin because it's not soluble. So what it's going to do is just sink to the bottom, and on the bottom of your stuff you don't want to have a weird blob of color. So for this one I'm just going to add a wee little bit of color to show you how I normally do it when I add color. Now, this isn't enough that it's going to dye your skin or anything. I just don't always like the plain white lotions. I like a little extra. Okay, so when I'm adding color to my lotion, I'll normally let it get to about that kind of consistency, if you can see, before I pour it into a bottle. So what I'll do is I'll pour my colored one in here. And as you can tell, it's a little bit of a thicker consistency, but it's still pourable. And there you have it. There's your 2 lotions. Now I did make a little bit earlier just to show you what I was talking about on the color. See on the bottom of here, you don't have the mica settled down to the bottom, where you might get that if you didn't wait a little bit longer until you poured it into the bottle. And then I'm just going to show you about the consistency that you're going to get with this. It's a thicker lotion.